Africa is changing and the world is watching. Progress or implosion of the African continent in the next century will mostly depend on how industrialized countries will help the development of its restless soul. This is why teachers and students of the Sant'Anna School chose to go to visit one of the fastest growing and most controversial countries, Ethiopia. We went there for many reasons. First, to understand. Gaining awareness and establishing a connection with a society which is very different from Western standards, but also far from the clichés depicted on tourist postcards. The encounter with Addis Ababa is powerful, a labyrinthine city where the skyscrapers of the new cultural and economic elite frame construction sites, poor neighborhoods and roadblocks that recall the chaos of a world at the crossroads, poised between growth and social instability. Yet this confusion doesn't match with the helpfulness, the kindness of the people, the dignity and sense of national identity we were able to experience. We found this spirit among the people, as well as at the embassy, the African Union, and especially at the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, a positive surprise for our jurists and a note of hope in a continent where respect for the human being is still a fundamental problem.
Visiting us, to come back and continue our something.
The Commission teaches about human rights to the general public. It investigates if there is a violation of human rights, and it does this very quickly.
Ethiopia promotes its identity everywhere, in typical shops, as well as in the Museum of Arts and Sciences, strongly supported by the Prime Minister. This country tries hard to chase the future. We visit the Institute for Technology, where we learn about an advanced project involving fiber optic sensors. We visit the Institute for Artificial Intelligence, where Ethiopia is trying to harness one of the most powerful tools for economic growth and beyond. But we are here to listen to all the needs of the community, and we quickly realize that technology is just one of them. Far from the skyscrapers of the city center, poverty in the suburbs and rural areas is undermining the African society from the ground up. Smart children, free minds ready to learn that could make the difference in the future of their country are reduced at best to surviving. With no alternative to petty crime, life takes them far from education, training and work. To give them a second chance, the Salesian priests created the Bosco Children's Center in the Jamo neighborhood. Playing sport with its rules and teamwork is a first step in teaching kids respect, self-esteem, and the power of cooperation. But here they also learn English, cooking, and much-needed technical skills. They receive hot meals, clothing, and scholarships to attend school.
According to their situations, we prepare them for total reintegration. Every Tuesday and Thursday night, we go surrounding Addis
at night.
Streets at night, yes.
Okay.
So when we found some children, we can talk with them openly, and if they have interest to get here, to contact with us and to change their life, we first demonstrate our plan and our program.
There is a great need for information and education here. The Sant'Anna School can make a difference by contributing to the knowledge transfer in many disciplines, such as at the Cardiac Center.
Our health professionals, including our nurses and doctors here, are mostly trained abroad. We try to provide them with quality trainings so that they could provide quality service to the patients here.
This non-profit center, supported only by donations, can be considered a gem treating sick children free of charge. But by the time they get here, often 3 to 4 years have already passed since they were diagnosed. The hospital tries its best, but resources are scarce, and even disposable materials are routinely reused. A large proportion of Africans cannot afford the care they need for their health. Sometimes they sell their livestock to embark on a long journey from the countryside to the capital, where they are welcomed by the Black Lion University Hospital, where we discover that only 150 people graduate from medical school each year. Here we have shown some projects for training doctors in gynecology.
So when you visit the patient and you estimate doing this kind of movement, cervical dilation.
Very smart student.
But there isn't room for everyone here, and for everyone's needs. Some peripheral centers try to stem the tide of patients by offering primary care, such as Kolf Karanyo Sub-City Office, with the usual problems of shortages of resources and a weak currency that cannot be used to deal with big pharmaceutical companies.
We have under 5 children's pediatric patients, and also we have non-communicable disease, diabetic and hypertensive patients. We serve in huge number.
Poverty and health are only part of what afflicts a continent that lives mostly in the countryside. Many live on subsistence ranching and farming and follow the seasonal rains with their livestock. Climate change, however, has brought them to their knees. According to the UN Refugee Agency, 800,000 people had to leave their homes because of the 2022 floods. They are poor and displaced. Together with Kuam, we went to Umorate in southern Ethiopia to monitor the cash transfer activity that supports the population. Kuam selects beneficiaries based on a preliminary medical screening and communicates the names to a local NGO, which in turn distributes small amounts of money mainly for food needs. There are about 60,000 people living in wooden and aluminium huts here. They do not want to leave their land, but after the floods, it is becoming impossible to stay. We joined Kuam during the 3 phases of the project: selection, money transfer, and monitoring, with the aim of understanding how it works and providing them with a report. The impact of the first few days was very hard. We were not sure if we had the skills or tools to deal with such a big problem. Then we met dozens of people from the population, children, village leaders, and we saw the importance of support, but also the problems that can arise. For example, how to identify recipients, since there are no identity documents, the appropriateness of giving money rather than consumer goods, or the possible increase in prices following the infusion of cash into such a small community. These are all elements to think about. The work with Kuam continues at a distance to implement increasingly effective interventions. During our stay, some of us made a decision to become more involved in the humanitarian sector, but all of us have closely touched the reality of a piece of Africa, mirroring much of what happens in the entire continent. Here we got to know people in deep need, but who still make the effort to chase progress and a modernity of which many in the countryside are not even aware, while others in the cities see it on the internet. But above all, we perceive their will to grow. It is time to take over their message and do our part.